Good day, or as we say in Danish, or hello to you, and welcome here on my working table. And welcome to week 13, or from day 85 to day 91 here in my 100-day project. If you is thinking about what is the 100-day project, look here under the little word more, and there you will find a link to a playlist, and for the first day I will explain everything what it is about and what I have decided to do this year, because the 100-day project, shortly told, is to do something in 100 days in a row, and you can decide whatever you want to do. You can do mixed media, you can do bookbinding, you can do stitching, you can do painting, drawing, do watercolor, whatever you fancy to do. And this year I have decided to go the mixed media way, using fabrics and a little paper and some stitching. And again, my substrate is these 12 centimeter in diameter watercolor circles. And not to get bored, I have decided to change color scheme every week, because who wants to jump around in the same color for 100 days in a row? I know I would get bored, so that is why I change color every week. Else, there are links to the last 2 years 100-day projects where I did something else. You can find under there, and there are also other links. If I talk about it here during the video, I will put them there. But as my content is divided up in different playlists, so find what interests you and skip the rest. But there are a lot of different things, because I like to do many different things, and I really like to teach. Yeah, I think that was that. The last little tip is, if anybody feels like supporting my channel or my work with the different challenges I have going on, you're more than welcome, and it would be appreciated very much. And for those of you who already have supported me, thank you. It means a lot to me, and I'm very grateful for it. But the link is also under here. So enough of me talking, let us get started. So the color scheme I have chosen here for this week, as you perhaps also saw in the little clip here in the beginning of the video, is fabrics I had already, and they were white, like screaming white, with a little black pattern on. And I have small pieces in these sizes here, and what else I have. And I don't like this screaming white fabric, so I've taken all my small samples I had of different kinds of fabric, and then I took a bowl and put 2 tea bags in and hot water, and make a brew there, and then I dumped all these fabrics in that brew, and let them sit there for half an hour. So as depending on what kind of tea it is and how many of these tea bags you put in and how long you put them in, the darker your fabric gets. And you can see here on, for instance, this fabric, it must have been curled a little up, because in this end it is a little lighter in the middle, and there is the lighter part. But I really like that. You can see that. So it is a way to dull your fabrics down if you have perhaps a very pink fabric or something you know that is singing in your teeth colors. Dump them into tea, and you get a much softer look. There of course also are the possibilities of some of the fabrics here. It wouldn't work, because I hardly can see the pattern, but some of them you can really see the pattern from the back, and then you can use it that way, perhaps if it's too harsh a color. But that was just what I have been doing with this. So this is what I will be using here this week, and I have decided only to use red thread. And the last thing I have decided is, yeah, again my crazy brain here. Every 1st January, when I am up a little later than normal, I go out in the street where I am, and then I pick all these round things up. Now these are only the small ones. Some of them can be this size, and they are sitting in firecrackers. We always do a lot of, of firing here at the 31 of December here in Denmark. You probably do that in other countries too. But these firecrackers are often a tube of some kind with a powder. Yeah, I don't know what it is. The Chinese invented it, and at the end they are sitting these. It's like a cork, or not a cork, but a little dud here on the end, and they fall off and lie on the street, and some of them are a little burnt, and there's a hole here in the middle. But I really like to use them, and I like the look of them because they are a little wonky and damaged, and yeah. So one of these I will also put on here this week here. But since I'm using this very light fabric with a little black in, I have decided to paint my discs black here. Yeah, so I don't need that to be in the middle because I will cover that up, but a black round all the way here, and I will show you this in a second how I do that, and then I will start making the first one here in this week, and it is day 85. So this is the way I will paint my black borders here on my watercolor substrate, and I've just taken some plastic thing here to protect my felt here on my table, and this is the right side going up, and here I've chosen acrylic paint, but of course you could also have used watercolor or color pencil or whatever you have to paint with. And I don't need to paint the whole circle because I know it's only the border here I want. That's all I'm going to do, and while I'm on it I will paint all 7 of them and let them dry here. So now they can sit there and dry, and instead of putting all this acrylic paint in the sink, I just wipe my brush off, and that is why it looks like that, but it doesn't matter, it is okay. So let us use this fabric I showed you before here. And you can see it is dry now, so I can work on it. I could have gone in a little closer because I think, yeah, let us see here. Something like that. And then I have this dotted one, and I think it looks nice. Small dots and bigger dots. So I will just cut this off here, and fingers in your ears. There. And of course you can just cut it. You don't have to tear if you don't like it, but I really like torn edges. That one there, and then this piece here. Yeah, there's this big amount of fraying there, but perhaps that is a little too much, so I will just cut that off. All these fabrics and fraying does that there are small threads and everywhere in my house, because they are sitting on your socks and on your floor, and yeah, everywhere. So again, I will just I eyeball everything here. It is, and I think that would go there and that would go there. Yeah, like this. Boop, boop, boop. And then I have this one here. Do I want it that way? Or do I want to let it go this way here? That is the $100 questions. A question. I think I will let it go this way here, this time here. So again, I will just cut it here. There. So this is how I play with my materials. You perhaps could have done 1,000 other things, and you don't need much, because you don't use much here in these small things here. So that is that. What about this? Yeah, I could also have used this, but I think I will go for this one here. I just have all my fabrics here. And now I will find a piece of an old book so I can glue, because I glue these down, and I will show you here on the first one, and then I will stop showing you all this gluing here for the rest of the video. But here again, it is a little overkill to have such a big thing here on the back, so perhaps I can cut a strip of this off also. And this can perhaps be used in something else. So I will glue this on first, because that was what is getting overlapped. Or isn't it? Is it? Let me see here. Yeah, I think it doesn't matter, because I decided to go this way. I will put this one on first. Yeah, you have one opinion until you have a new one. And it's a woman's right to change her mind whenever she fancies to do that. In all things in life. And I'm happy I decided to paint it black, because it gives it a little more definition, I think. Yeah, and you can see I could have painted a little more out there. So yeah, and then I often do it like this, so I'm sure. And here I would let it dry a little. And since I want to cover this up here, let me see if I do this. Yeah, it is fine. I will also just glue this piece on here. Again, a page from an old book. And ding, 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 so that it's hanging there. I go a little up. I often don't like my things slam bam in the middle. And now you can see there are these fraying things here, and I will let them be, because I like these loose hanging threads there. And then there's this little disc here. So where do I want to put it? Yeah. One thing I never would place it is there, slam bam in the middle. But I often like to put them where all the junctions are meeting each other there. And I could put it there, even though it is in the middle, it is in the top middle. But I could also say, no, I don't want that. I want it down there. perhaps, or down there. Again, not there, but I think I would go for this here. So I will just put a lid on this one so it doesn't dry out. And with that, and then I will take my red thread here and these two fabrics hasn't the same size, so that is not the middle. The middle would have been more like that, and that perhaps pleases my eye more than it is sitting a little wonky there. So instead I would think I would prefer to go there or there. Now looking at it, for some reason I like it better here. So this is what I will be going for. So I will just hold it tight and stitch through all the fabric and the watercolor substrate and down here. And then I'm tangled up here in my scissors, and I just pre-cut here because it is easy to stitch through this. So I will go for 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. There. And you can see it isn't hard to stitch into. And again I will do it in between here, so there will be 8 spokes here, like that. I will do that, and then I will figure out what kind of stitching I want to do also here on this one. So now this is secured, and here on that end here I will just take a little piece of ordinary office tape and secure that here on the back, and then I can cut it off here, there. And sometimes things happen, and I know I made it this way, but in fact I like it better this way. And that gives me the idea I have this round there and do something here with this circle there. And I think I just want to make a circle with running stitches, and for that I will remove this. I will take my plastic thing here and find, that's too big. This must be the one there, and then I will take my pre-poke punch thing here and just go around. And if you don't have such a thing here, my hubby has made this one for me. It is an old wooden handle of some kind, and apart from a compass and a needle, you can take a cork and punch a needle up in it and give it a dab of glue. And you can see this needle is a big darning needle, and this is a smaller needle, so you can have several of them, so you have several options, because sometimes you need a bigger hole. But generally I would say the smaller the holes you can make, the more neat your things will look. So I will just do back stitches. So I just made a running stitch and come up ahead of me, and I go one back And the hook I just, or the stitch I just have made one ahead and on the back, and no knots please. One ahead of me and one back and one ahead. So here I can really decide my line and get a very nice round circle, instead of sometimes I just eyeball it because it doesn't have to be very neat or precise. But I think if I wanted a nice circle, that is the smartest way to do it. Of course you could have traced the line and punch holes in it, but this way here it gets the best or the neatest or the finest or the prettiest circles by pushing up to the template. So I will continue that all the way around, and then I will consider this done. Oh, this is how it ended. So let me hurry here and write on the back day 85, and it is the 17th of May 2026. So yeah, fine one. I really am glad I painted it black on the outer circumference here. So bye for now and see you tomorrow. Hello, and welcome to day 86, and I will write it here on the back. 17th of May 2026. There. And this is how this piece ended up here. Some very long stitches there and nothing else but a little different fabric over these two here. Okay, so take care and see you tomorrow. Hi, and welcome to day 87. And it is the 19th of May 2026. And two different kind of fabrics. This fabric was a little funny because it really absorbed the tea, so it became quite dark in this. It was screaming white, but now it is really tea colored there. And this was just a selvage of one of them. I really like the fringes there, or the frayed edges. And again this little piece and running stitches, and again I punch the stitches to get it so neat as here up to a ruler, and then you can get these fine lines here. So another fine day. So bye for now and see you again tomorrow. I have been up early and already made this piece here, so let us write here on the back day 88, and it is the 20th of May 2026. And yeah, I don't know how much I like this one because I really put that slam bam in the middle, but no matter where I placed it elsewhere, I didn't think it looked nice. And perhaps it's because this is the same and this fabric there, I don't know. Maybe it's too obvious, this one. But again, it is stitched like all the others. I have stitched down this little cardboard doodle, and there I just make some crosses inside the squares of the fabric. Yeah, it is what it is. You can't love all your pieces exactly the same, and so it must be. But better luck tomorrow. I know I want this piece of fabric here in today, and today is day let me see, what is it? I can't remember. 89. Yeah, it must be so. But yeah, I like this fabric, but is it too much with this square fabric. This fabric reminds me of when there's car racing, there's a man standing with a flag when they start and they stop. But these are really opposite, these two here. Yeah, what do a wise woman do? On the other hand, I also really like this piece here with the dots. It's other kinds of dots. Perhaps I can put them in instead and put a square of this in and place that up on it. Yeah. Boop, boop, boop. I think I will rumble a little around here and see what I can come up with, or what could please my eye. Yeah, there. Somehow it must be a little crooked. The print on the, it is an old duvet cover I have tea-dyed also. So I don't like that they are going that way. Here I can perhaps better live with it when they are going over here. Or could I? No. Let us be brave and take this one here and say this is what we will be going for. And perhaps a little of this on here someplace, something like that. I will glue these two down and then I will decide what else to put on. This little piece ended up there. So instead of putting it there, I will go half over here and put it there. And again, I will sew it down the way you have seen me doing it in the other, or in the first one here this week. But I can feel that the glue isn't a little wet still, so it is always good to let it sit for a couple of minutes so I know that the glue is dry. It isn't so nice to stitch into wet glue stick. So again. But I'm so impatient. I want to see how it ends, because I have no idea when I start. So I will do the last stitches and then I will figure out what else to stitch here on this piece. And I really like these frayed edges. They are so yummy. I think I will just make a row of straight stitches or satin stitches with a little space between them down here on that line, because they are really different, these two here. So the way I find it easiest is to pre-poke only the one side of the stitch where I came up, and I often do that in this area where there only are the fewest amounts of layers. So here is one piece of fabric and the watercolor paper. So I will come up here and that, and then I have to go down here. Now I am going down through 2 layers of fabric and watercolor paper. And if to save thread, you can come up there and go down there, but I don't mind that I'm using a little more thread, because it is more pleasant for me to come up here where there's fewer layers to stitch up through. That is much easier, and you don't need so much force to poke. this is quite simple stitch, but I really like it where I have two layers overlapping each other. These quite wide line here. And I don't think I have thread enough here at my needle, but I can always take some more. I have a whole spool of it. And again, this is my beloved mercerized cotton from the Dutch brand called Venne, and it is called NM/34 or 32, I can't remember now. And it is originally meant for weaving, but it is a lovely thread to sew with, and I'll use it a lot, and I have it in a lot of different colors. Yeah, I will switch thread and be back and show you how it looks when I'm done. So here it is with all the stitches down there. So let us write here on the back day 90, and it is May 2026. I think it is a little easier to see in this color fabric than on the gray substrate I'm working on. So only 2 more days to go. Yeah. Good morning here, and welcome to day 90. And this is how my piece ended up. I've been up early and done it already. And these 3 fabrics here, this is just a fabric I have made some line with a Sharpie marker and let it dry. And yeah, in fact, I think it is from this Do It cover where I always use as a background, not as a background, but for an extra layer when I'm stitching in something. I like to have a more sturdy fabrics, and then I invisible base a background of this on too. And I don't know why I've used some marker or Sharpie and perhaps dried it off or something in there, but I think these marks looks quite nice, and this gave me the idea to these stitches there, star stitches. Yeah, I don't think the technical terms is a star stitch, but it is just straight stitches crossed over each other. So, and I have already been writing on the back. So tomorrow is the last day here in this week, so I hope I can come up with some exciting one there. But see you. Good morning and welcome to day 91. And I have picked this fabric out here of my pile, and I really like this fabric, and I think I will, there were in this line, I think I would stitch French knots with the red. I think that could be very nice, but again I have to cut some of it off. So which, yeah, perhaps it needs a little more cutting than I will have to go a little away here for my chair. Oops, that was a tough one. Now let's thread things here off with them. There. Was it this way I had it? I think it was. And then I have these dots, but boop, that is perhaps. I have this piece. I don't think I have used it anywhere in the other days. So this would go down here and there. Cut that there. Yeah, that is too small. I have some trouble with my thumb here these days. I have been sewing too much and for too long in some fabrics or several layer of fabrics that have high density, or the thread count is very high. So, and I've just been sewing up and down and up and down, and I like to have more than one stitch on my needle, but if I do that I can hardly push it through, and then I have to drag it that way. So I think I have to give this little here a little break or pause so it can get better. Think if I wasn't able to stitch in the future, that would be very, oh, that is not nice to think of. Yeah, this is this. Then I had this little piece left. Oh, is it too small? I also like this one here with the frayed edges. Yeah, that could also look nice. Yeah, I think I will go for that. And that can go a little further out. I will glue these two on as I have shown you earlier, and let this one go a little further out here. Yeah, it isn't much, I don't need to cut off. And now I have done it. And that is too small to save. But I will glue these down first. So this has to dry, then I will sew this. Yeah, perhaps it's called a plug or a plopper, or yeah, I don't know, but I think I would put it either there or there. And I think I will go for it here. But this has to dry a little before I stitch into that. And I don't know if you can remember, I painted this black, and I had so much paint left on my, I would just remove that, left on my brush. So I took some strips of fabric, and then I just brushed my leftover paint off here on this fabric, and again they have been dipped in tea. And this is managed to stitch into, even though it is acrylic paint, and acrylic paint is plastic, and that can be, if you have too much on of too thick a layer, it is like stitching into plastic, and that isn't very nice. But here there's so little paint, so here I can stitch easily into it, but it makes quite nice marks on this fabric here. If you want to use your acrylic paint and paint on fabric, you can buy a textile medium you can mix with your paint, and it wouldn't interfere with the intensity of your color. It is just making your acrylic paint soft, so it is nicer to stitch into. So that is worth considering, because I do that because I don't want to go out and buy. I have a lot of acrylic paint because I jelly prints and do other things. So I have a lot of these paints, so it is better for me to buy a bottle of this textile medium and put in, instead of going out and buy a lot of bottles of textile paint. Yeah, that is just me. I have so many different paints already, so if I also should invest in textile paints, I don't think I would do that. So it's just an idea for you, but I think they look very nice these ways. Here you can paint them. Yeah, and I didn't use them here today, but I know I will use them in some other work. And now I think the other thing is so dry, so I can make my French knots. So this is secured here, and now I have come up in the line in this circle there. And not so long ago, one of my YouTube friends here asked me, when I do French knots, do you stick your needle down in the same hole as you came up, or a little beside it? Because when you're doing it in fabric, you come up, and when you go down, you do it a little very, very close to where you came up. But that isn't very smart to do when you're doing it in paper, because if you stitch very, very close to a hole that is there already, they will be so close to each other, so it will be a much bigger hole instead of two holes. So I instead do so many turns or wraps around my needle, so I know when I pull my thread through here, I am going in the same hole, and then there are so many turns here, so it can't go through the hole. And that is the way I have figured it out. So others can perhaps do other things, but now we're taking in Danish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And down in the same hole, and keep the tension here with your thumb on this one here. There. And the important thing, I think, is to keep that tension when you're doing it. And the other thing is, you always come, where your thread comes up, you go out of it, that side out. Don't go this way here, because then you will, so you can say, go this way here, and then you will unwrap your French knots. Come here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we see it is pretty many turns or webs I do. And that, but here another thing is, I just try to Google this plug thing, and I will, in Danish it is called a pop, and if I Google that and ask translation what it is, they call it a stopper, and if that is better, I don't know. It is quite funny with some of the words in Danish. As I said, this thing I'm talking about is called en prop in Danish, but a person can also have a prop, and that means they are going crazy or very angry. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and down in the same hole here, like that. But I will do a lot of more of them here in the ring, and then I can show it when I'm done. That was a lot of French knots, but doesn't it look yummy? And I really like the times where the fabric nearly tells you what to sew, and here it was so obvious to do that. And for instance, in this one, it also was very obvious to stitch in the circles there, and in this one I also thought it was so obvious to stitch into that. It is nearly crying out, stitch me there, the pieces, and I really like that when that happens. But let us write here on the back, day 91, and it is the 23rd of May 2026. And I know you Americans write it the other way around, but yeah, that doesn't matter so much. So this was the last one here in this week. So I will take a picture of all of them together, and one of each of them separately here at the end of the video, and then I will say proper goodbye to you. This week here was about softening or dulling your fabrics down to a look you better like, and perhaps you are a person who likes bright pink or bright purple or bright orange, and so this is probably not for you. But yeah, I know I'm not the only one who likes more muted colors. So this is a way you can get them a little more muted by putting them into tea. But I hope you have been inspired, and I hope you have been enjoying seeing me working on this 100-day project. And now there is only one more week to go, yeah, and 2 more days. And I think I will allow myself to have a party next week and make my 7 pieces with the earth tones and the colors I really like. And what I will come up with of embellishment, I don't know already, but I have a little hint, but I won't tell you. But if you have been enjoying here my little series here, please give my video a thumbs up and please consider subscribing my little Danish channel. That would be very much appreciated, and I will be very happy. Also, give me a comment. I like to be in touch with you, my not Facebook friends, I mean YouTube friends, and my viewers here. Tell me what you think, or is you doing it yourself, or what colors do you like compared to what I like. That is also always nice to hear what other people are doing and what you are doing. But else I will only say, yeah, you can hit the notification bell if you want to know it next time there's coming a new video up. But else I will just say, play and be creative the best you can. That is so good for our souls and mental health. And or else I will just say, take care of yourself and people around you, and please, please, please be nice to everybody. That was all for this week. So I will see you hopefully again in a week's time for the last whole week. Then there will be a last video with the last 2 days. Yeah, so bye bye for now. Take care.